I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about how food technology and production is what's the state of that in the Midwest right now?
The state of food production and technology and agriculture today is, I think, on the cusp of explosive growth. We're seeing an amazing number of deals that are coming to us globally from Israel, from Spain, from the west coast of California, where capital is not readily available or the infrastructure to build technology opportunities. And so we've seized that as an opportunity to bring technology companies to the Midwest and actually relocate them here and create new jobs in the Midwest by getting C-level talent, CEOs, CFOs, chief marketing officers that live in the Midwest and are familiar with living in the Midwest and want to reside in the Midwest, so that we can take their global expertise and attach that to a technology and try to build that company out to be a global opportunity.
One really interesting thing I heard in your talk was when you said that you felt that the U.S. was going to be one of the hubs of the future for the foreseeable future for farming and food production. Can you tell me a little bit about why that is?
Sure. We think the future of the Midwest for ag production is immense, but I also believe that Brazil is a very important part of ag production globally for the next 35 years. I had the fortune 35 years ago of living in Brazil and moving onto our family farm and spending a year in Brazil on the family farm in Mato Grosso do Sul. At the time, Brazil was in its infancy, and so I had the experience to go back many times since then and see what's happened in Brazil in infrastructure and ag production there. They have developed major systems, much like we have in the Midwest. As we see constraint to farmland globally, I think the places that ag production will occur will be here in the Midwest and in Brazil, but largely in the Midwest with newer technologies and new innovation. And we have the best infrastructure and we have the best technology expertise here under our nose that we think over the next 35 years is going to create even more explosive growth for food production ag.
What are the promising technologies that you see in the Midwest? I know many parts of the world implement essentially older technologies to gain productivity improvements, but what are you seeing that's on the cusp that's really being developed first and for the future here in the Midwest?
Some of the newer technologies in the Midwest that we're seeing being developed include new plant growth inoculants that allow plants to require less insecticide or less herbicides, less fertilization, which then becomes a more sustainable type of production, which everyone should like, including people that are more opinionated toward organic production. If we're using less things to impact the environment and producing more food, that's a wonderful outcome. One of the things, by example, that I recently saw was a thing called dwarf corn, corn that's about 4 feet tall and produces about twice the amount of production per bushel over traditional 10-foot tall corn. So those are examples of things that we're seeing, and we think the Midwest has a great opportunity to exploit the innovation that's coming out of university and research labs in this region.
Jim, lastly, as managing partner of Open Prairie Ventures, what are some of the things that your company is working on, and what excites you the most about working in the food industry in the Midwest?
I think the thing that we find most exciting in the Midwest that's going on in food production and ag is just the amount of energy and the amount of new graduates coming out of undergraduate programs focused on this sector. 20 years ago, if you asked a undergraduate or a senior coming out of high school to go into ag, they would have put their nose up and said, "Oh no, that's a tough industry." Today, it's a much different perception, and we are becoming globally more so recognized and dominant in a sense in food production in the Midwest, and I think that's a leveraging point for the next 20 years. At Open Prairie Ventures, the focus that we have is investing in new technologies that impact the growth of grain production and animal production. So we're very focused on in-the-field strategies. Once a product leaves the farm gate, we're less inclined to invest. The technologies we invest in include seed protection, animal nutrition, GPS technologies, things that really impact how a farmer or rancher might produce better protein, better grain to feed the world.